Hi friends, how are you? Welcome back to the channel for a video that's just for fun. I think this is just gonna be a cozy, chatty, fun, girly vlog. Basically, I'm in my sweatpants. I'm hosting a pool party this weekend. Our second annual Float Fest. Just kind of a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's literally our most chaotic, least planned party ever, where we make ice cream floats and we float in the pool and we invite literally everyone we know. But I figured, what if I try to take it up a slight notch this year? I think I want to decorate a couple foods to look like floats. One thing I want to try is sugar cookies. I want to try to make them gluten-free. The only issue is I'm not a baker. I'm not very good at hand-eye coordination, and I've never done this before. But as a way to hang out together, I asked over on Instagram, which if you don't follow me over there, that's usually like the easiest way for me to communicate through like stories and question boxes. But I asked if there's anything that you guys want to talk about you. Because I feel like this job can feel so one-sided sometimes. It's like, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm feeling and thinking. And I just want to like interact with you guys a little bit more. And a series that we've done a few times is a Big Sister Advice series, where I'm a big sister. I love to give advice. That doesn't mean it's going to be good. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. Take everything with a grain of salt. Don't do what I tell you to do just because I told you to do it, but I will be honest and give you my honest feedback, my honest thoughts, as if you are Jacqueline, my little sister. But we're gonna see how much we get done today, and we're gonna hang out and chat in the meantime, and I'm really glad you're here. Oh, also, sorry, I know this is the longest, chattiest intro ever, but I'm going to be vulnerable and share a goal with you, and I'm gonna try to challenge myself to say this in my videos for the next little bit of, I think it would be a really fun challenge for me to try to hit 250,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. 250, 2025. But I figure if I verbalize it and you guys want to help me reach that goal and perhaps aren't subscribed, that maybe it would just encourage someone that isn't to consider subscribing. It means a lot to me, and it's fun to have little goals to motivate yourself, and that's one that I'm choosing for the rest of this year. I got ingredients. We're gonna use Bob's Red Mill, powdered sugar, regular sugar, and a lot of other things. I'm using this recipe. It had the most reviews. This is from All Recipes, the best rolled sugar cookies. It has 11,000 reviews with an average rating of 4.5 stars. So hopeful about that, except for I am substituting regular flour for Bob's Red Mill. I find usually, since it is a 1-for-1 flour, I usually have more success following a gluten recipe and just subbing out the flour instead of trying to follow a gluten-free recipe. I am going to batch this dough. Please enjoy a satisfying little montage. And then once it comes time to actually start, doing a little more mindless things, that's when we'll get to chatting. So let's give this a go. Washing my hands. So much butter. Dough is chilling in the fridge. I just made some royal icing and I bought this natural food coloring. I think I'm gonna just try to make 3 colors, maybe a green, pink, and blue. I don't know, the yellow's fun too though. This might be crazy. I'm gonna try to mix the colors in the glasses because then I feel like it'll be easier to pour into piping bags than a bowl, because I can hold this with one hand. Is that a terrible idea? And I need to make some without water and some with water, so I think I'm gonna do the colors first and then add water to it. But anyways, as I try to figure that out and maybe make a mess of it, I will start answering some of these questions from y'all. Thank you for submitting them. There's also a FedEx package arriving right now. So just a second. Would anybody like a glass of milk? By milk, I mean pasteurized egg whites and powdered sugar. Literally, very top question. When do you know you need to leave a job that doesn't feel fulfilling anymore? If you were Jacqueline asking me this, I would say if you wake up every day and are just like so not excited for the day, and if you have some sort of plan to provide for yourself while you job hunt, whether that is, I would say, a emergency savings account that could last you a few months, or some sort of hourly job lined up that you feel comfortable working that won't take too much of your mental and like time capacity, so that you can job hunt and apply and like figure out next steps. If you have those things lined up, and if you are like truly just so over it, I would say life's too short to hate what you're doing every single day. I know that that is a privileged take. Like, I know that a lot of times we have to just show up and do things to provide, but I do think that there are avenues and ways for you to explore other options in a responsible way. And I know savings and like having a savings account is hard to do, especially in 2025 with the way that our world and our economy is. But I think getting an hourly job at a coffee shop and just being okay with like a lifestyle shift temporarily to buy you that additional mental space and capacity to explore and apply and pursue new things is a really beautiful gift you can give yourself before you blink and like however many additional years has gone by and it feels harder to make a change. Ooh, okay, I like this one. If you can give one tip to keep motivation up, what would it be? But first, I would say something that really motivates me is I think about life the same way as I kind of think about money and the power of compound like investing, of how if you invest $1 today and you give it time, that will grow to be so much over time, even though it was very little effort today. I kind of think the same thing about like everything that I am pursuing and wanting to do. I'm gonna mix this one in a bowl. If you're motivated to, let's say build your social media, let's just use that because I can speak to that. And if you just spend a little bit of time today on creating a post that you like, even if it's not an 8-hour workday doing it, the compounded effect of that will make a difference in 3 years from now if you do a little bit of that every single day. Or if you're trying to get stronger and you do just 10 squats at home today, it's not gonna feel like a lot, but the compounded effect of that over the course of a year is going to be super noticeable. And that idea really motivates me to just get up and do a little something, which leads me to my second point of like starting something is the hardest part. Like if you are wanting to go get stronger, getting up off the couch and going to a gym or going to the area of your house that you work out in is the hardest part. Like just finding that motivation to get started is the hardest part. And so a lot of people will do the thing where they're like, I really struggle with keeping my house clean. I would like to clean my house more. It's just like so daunting of a task. So I'll set a 10-minute timer and I'll tell myself I only have to clean for 10 minutes. And however much I clean in 10 minutes is fine. You can stop if you want after that. And so many times people say that after that, they realize that after the 10 minutes is done, they're kind of on a roll and they keep going for 30 and then their house is clean. For me, mentally, realizing the power of compounding your efforts motivates me to get started, and then getting started motivates me to stay going. I thought this was gonna be pink. It's purple. Intermission for you wanna see a cool trick that I learned in culinary class? If you're putting something in a piping bag and it's all like stuck up on the sides, you can use a bench scraper and scrape it from the outside. So really just kind of like push it down and clean it up. Boom. These are the 3 colors we got. We're going with it. It's giving Easter, but that's okay. I hope I didn't add too much water to the flood icing. We'll see about that. This is how I'm thinking about making the floats. Just 2 little biscuit cutters. This is the smallest one I have though, and it's kind of big. So I had to get the biggest one I have to make it look proportional. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Oh wow, this got really chilled. Start with half of this. See how far it takes us. Okay, where did we leave off? Okay, this one says, how to get out of the people-pleasing, perfectionist, never good enough for yourself mode. I'm so caring and forgiving to others, and I'm so harsh on myself. All these things, for the record, I struggle with so much, and still do. Do feel like I've made progress, but I still struggle very much. So This is not coming from someone that has figured it out, but someone that is in it a lot. For people pleasing, I have really been impacted by the concept that your no doesn't need a reason why. I feel like I really struggle with telling people no. And if my excuse for telling people no is like good enough or valid enough if someone needs help with something, I am such a yes man all the time, and I still am. But just the concept that you can say, oh, I'm so sorry. The concept that you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help with that. And that is enough. Or, oh, I'm sorry, I can't be there. I wish I could. That is enough of a valid reason. Like, you don't need to say anything else beyond that. Has kind of changed my life. Like, for example, sometimes I'm just simply like tired and don't feel like I have the capacity, but don't want to tell someone, I don't want to come because I'm tired and I want to rest. Like, to me, I'm like, is that a good enough excuse? If you don't feel like it is, you don't even have to tell them. That has just helped me a lot with the concept of people pleasing. For perfectionistic, I have been trying lately to grasp the concept of good enough, because I have found that when you obsess over the last 10% of trying to get something done, that perfectionistic last 10%, it hinders you so much in what you're able to accomplish, because that last 10% will take almost just as long as the first 90%. And this is perfectionistic in like a work sense. I understand that perfectionism can go so far beyond that. It can go like body image and how you're perceived and so many different things. So I'm just gonna answer one aspect of this question. For me, striving for good enough and being like, I'm gonna try to get 90% and that is good enough, has helped me let go of that last 10% that will literally rob me of the rest of my week. And honestly too, a piece of advice that I would give is people like things that are approachable and relatable. People don't like when things are so perfect, it feels inauthentic. That could be in so many different realms and capacities. Like, let's say if you are a potter and you are trying to make mugs for people to buy, if it looks so perfect that it looks machine made, it kind of loses some of what makes it feel special and handmade. Like, there's so much beauty in the little indiscrepancies, you know? How do I become a more positive person? I actually feel pretty strongly about this. I feel like our world is so media based and our media is so negative. Maybe even if you're not seeking it out, it is infiltrating your news feed, your For You page, and then therefore changing your heart posture. I would encourage, if you want to be a more positive person, assessing what you're putting into your brain, what you're consuming, even if you're not like seeking it out, even if it's just being spoon-fed to you, and then how that makes you feel. If that puts you in a more negative headspace, a more critical headspace, a more doomsday about our world headspace, because I mean, there is a lot of really, really, really heavy stuff going on, and I'm not saying be completely unaware of it, but there's also a lot of really petty stuff that is rewarded, even like reality TV. Sometimes I'll catch myself watching a just for fun reality TV show, and the demeanor on there is like really catty and really negative and just tearing down other people on the show. That kind of affects the way my brain works for the rest of the week. And I don't like it. I feel like it's a negative headspace. So that's my like less obvious big sister advice answer. Gratitude is my more obvious big sister advice answer. Like, I am so guilty of focusing on what I haven't done or accomplished or achieved or had or all these sorts of things, and that can really make you negative instead of appreciating what you have accomplished or achieved or done or seen or own or whatever. So, but that's a more obvious cliche answer. But that does really actually make such a huge impact and difference. Update. We got a lot of bagels. Cookies are finally cool, and while they were cooling, I cleaned the kitchen and also called me Martha Stewart. I got ice cream chilling. I got an ice cream maker, and I'm gonna bring ice cream over to a friend's house tonight. They requested cookies and cream ice cream with a side of hot fudge, so I'm also doing that today. But I think we can set up a little icing station. I feel the least confident about this part. I also feel like I did not make enough icing. Might have to go back and do 3 whole new colors, but that's okay. One thing at a time. I have your questions pulled up over here so we can chat while I inevitably ruin these cookies. This one says, torn between moving closer to my family versus the city that we love for our lifestyle, community, and careers. I'd never imagined having babies 5 hours from our family, but our jobs thrive where we are. This is a conversation that Jordy and I have pretty often about living where we live. None of our family lives nearby, and we also love it here, but we're like, okay, when we have kids, are we gonna feel differently? I would ask yourself how much time you get with family being with them versus away from them. And then obviously I don't have kids, so I can't really speak to that, but what your childcare options are around family and away from family. For example, I know some grandparents are so excited and willing and ready and eager to help out with grandkids. And I know other grandparents are like, I already raised you and I just don't have it in me to watch your children full time. So that would be a big determining factor as well. I will say, as someone who lives away from our family, I almost find that I get more intentional time with them when they visit or when I visit. Like, you never take a moment for granted when you live apart. Whereas when I was living in Austin nearby my family, I would see them more, but I feel like if you average the number of intentional hours we spent together, it was actually less than it is now. And like I said, that is taking into consideration the fact that my parents can travel and I can travel, but the time we see each other is like, I sometimes will take off work. I will spend a full 4 or 5 days just hanging out and being unplugged and not taking a minute for granted. And then I still am living in the town and area that we both want to live in and that we both see ourselves raising kids in. Maybe, you know, like I said, can't speak for future self. With that, it kind of feels like in our situation, the best of both worlds. So that's just me walking you through how we had these thoughts and conversations, and maybe that will help you also know which things to consider. But I know that that's really, really, really hard. It's really hard where you want to live somewhere, but your family lives somewhere else, because for a lot of people, me included, family is so important. I talked to my friend who is really good at sugar cookies, and she said that she would flood the whole cookie one color, and then after it dries, come in with the stripes. So that's what I'm doing, but I just really feel like I added too much water into this. Like, this feels so liquidy, and I'm nervous. Let me pick another question before I start flooding. How to increase self-confidence in doing things alone, being okay alone. Ooh, this is a topic that I love. I love doing things alone. I will say probably the most intimidating from my perspective thing to do alone is to dine alone at a restaurant, not at a bar, but like at an actual table. Other things that you're doing alone, people oftentimes can assume like, oh, maybe they're traveling for work. Like if you're doing a solo trip or taking a walk by yourself, you know, it's like a little less obvious than dining at a restaurant. So what I would actually recommend, start off solo dining, because once you accomplish that, everything else doesn't feel as intimidating. If you want to ease into it, go by yourself, sit at a bar. Something about like evening dining feels so much more intimidating than lunch or breakfast. So I would recommend easing into it if you must by bringing a book and going to a bar and sitting at a bar top, reading, getting an appetizer, whatever, just kind of like experiencing that. And then increasing to getting yourself an actual reservation where you make the reservation for one, you show up, you say, hello, I have a reservation, party of one, under the name Janse. You sit down, you have your meal, because once you accomplish that, it's like you're choosing it. Oh, I'm so scared. You're choosing it, so it's so much less intimidating to do anything else. And you know, maybe people will be looking at you, it's too liquid! Ah! I'm just gonna send it, whatever. We're gonna have a batch of drippy blues. It's okay. I sing when I'm stressed. Have you guys noticed that? It's annoying. I think all of these are gonna be too watery, but I am just accepting that that's gonna be how it is. And if I make a white icing later to do the stripes and make sure it's not too runny, I think it will still look totally fine. So I just transferred all the blues onto some parchment paper, and I'm gonna move on with some purples. But accepting chronic illness, taking a step back when you just want to feel normal. I don't ever want to admit to myself that I sometimes need more than other people being chronically ill or, you know, struggling with autoimmune and all those sorts of things. But I have been learning that it is a tab that will have to be paid one way or another. And I have two options. I can either choose when I take a step back and do it somewhat on my terms, or my body will do it for me less on my terms. And yeah, I can't control when I have a flare, but I can control when I am starting to feel flare coming on, which things I cut out instead of waiting until it gets so bad that I can't do anything. And I think having that mentality has helped me feel a little bit more in control and realize that every yes is a no to something else and every no is a yes to something else. And that kind of perspective shift has encouraged me to be a little more gentle with myself and feel a little less like a victim mentality when I can't do everything, because I am therefore choosing which things I'm not going to do in hopes that later I can do more of the things I do want to do. I'm a quiet Christian with loud atheist friends. I always get awkward when they talk bad about religion. I understand the kind of implied question here. It's probably like, is that okay? What do I do in that situation? I am also a quiet Christian with a lot of friends with a lot of different beliefs. That's something that I've always strived for, is to surround myself with people that believe differently from me. That's important to me. I want to be aware of how other people live and just be like mindful and considerate. Also, can y'all hear that construction? Should I close the doors? It's just so hot. I gotta get some breeze in here. I understand how that could feel like you're in a kind of between a rock and a hard place, because you care for these people and you don't want them to feel like they cannot voice and express how they feel, but you also want to respect your own like beliefs and morals. And so I think just like you would respect their feelings about their religious beliefs or atheism or whatever that might be, I would hope if they are friends that care about you and know where you stand, that they would do the same for you. I think if there's a way to understand that they probably have religious hurt, church hurt. I mean, the church is run by people and it does so many things incorrectly. You know what I mean? Like hurts so many people. So if you can embrace their perspective with compassion, but then also find a way to voice delicately how you feel, then hopefully they would also respect your perspective as well, just like within any friendship. But I think it's amazing that you have friends that believe differently than you. Like, I think so many people want to hide within groups and communities of like-minded individuals so that they feel validated in their own beliefs instead of challenged. And I think you being a voice to people who have church hurt and being someone that is still compassionate and loving towards them, even if you don't align necessarily on every single belief, will do a lot of good for them in their hearts and how they perceive Christians. I think putting yourselves into those situations where maybe they do feel a little uncomfortable because people are saying things that vary from how you believe is actually being a really good representation of Jesus to people who believe differently than you. I didn't phrase that very well. I'm just a girl who's stressed about sugar cookies, okay?
Okay, here's where we're at. As of now, I played around with cutting again after they're fully dry, and I think that just makes it look a lot more clean, since my flood icing was taken literally and I had flooded everything. So tomorrow, my plan is to do a secondary cut to have clean edges, and then remake a thicker white icing and do white lines on each one to look like a float, like an inner tube of sorts. So unfortunately, patience is not my strongest virtue. I'm going to try to be good and space this out over 2 days so that I can kind of fix a couple of my sins here and make it look a little bit prettier. But if you want to see how they turn out, I will show you in the next vlog. Oh wait, this video might be coming out after the fact. I am no longer aware of my own filming schedule because I'm filming a little bit out of order. This is harder to do with advice questions instead of just Q&A, but I would like to try my very best to end with a few rapid fire questions. Just because I'm so chatty, I feel like I only got to a few. So I'm gonna scroll through and try to find a handful of ones that I could answer succinctly. What are the top few financial things we should focus on if we're clueless and starting off? Something that you could do is set up an account that automatically pulls out a little bit of money every month and invests it for you on your behalf. There's a lot of websites that do this, and that will start adding up over time. I would say doing that before anything else, because it forces you to learn a little bit about investing and it forces you to save a little bit. So I would say starting there if I were to start with one thing. 3 non-negotiable qualities to look for in a man. 1, how do his friends and family speak about him? Even if they make little quips, little jokes, that could be underlying negativity and how they actually perceive him, and they will know the best. 2, if your core pillars and his core pillars align. Core pillars are things that you don't want to negotiate on, that you feel are super important to you. Maybe that's religion, maybe that's politics, maybe that's if you want kids or not, but making sure that those big things are not things that you will have to figure out later. 3, if he cares to understand the way you feel and why. I think that compassion and emotional intelligence bleeds into a lot of other things that could potentially be issues that you could filter through if he genuinely cares to know how you're feeling day to day and why you're feeling that way day to day. It means he's intuitive, compassionate, and emotionally intelligent. Advice on maintaining friendships in a busy season / long distance. My friend Anna actually told me this a while ago, and I was like, this is brilliant and so simple. She goes, every time I think about a friend, I just text them thinking about you. And that's enough of a glue and enough of a reminder to yourself to initiate some form of communication, and easy to follow through with, that it helps friendships stay alive, even if you're in a busy season. But I liked that Anna implements, and I've started trying to implement it too. I want a good camera to take pictures and film vacations. What do you recommend? Practical advice, I love it. I've gone through so many cameras. This one is my favorite. I don't use anything else hardly ever. This is the Sony ZV-1 Mark II. The Mark I, I don't really like. The Mark II, chef's kiss, incredible, and it fits in your pocket. It's expensive, but it's not as expensive as its competitors. I would definitely recommend saving up for that or seeing if you can get it secondhand somewhere. I've had this one for years and beaten it up so much, and she's still kicking. So if you buy it secondhand, odds are good that it will still have life in it. And lastly, one more product-y thing, because those are quick. Fragrance-free product racks, home, beauty, pet, etc. There's this website that I found recently called Organic Bunny. Basically, her full-time job is sourcing products, and she has it by categories, and I think all of her products are artificial fragrance-free. Like, they might have essential oils, but no perfumes. So I have started looking at her website whenever I am looking for products in a certain category. So I just wanted to shout her out. I think I heard her on a podcast. I don't remember how I found her, but great resource. So I like that a lot. I could talk all day, and I'm sure I've already talked way too much, so I'm gonna cut myself off. But thank you for just having a cozy sweatpant bake day girly chat advice segment video hang. How many words can I throw in there? I just like getting to talk about you guys for once in this very seemingly one-sided job sometimes. So I love y'all. I hope you have the best rest of your day, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.